Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into an absolute fundamental building block of software development, Python strings. Look, if you're interacting with text, whether that's displaying messages, processing user input, or parsing massive datasets, you are relying on strings. So let's peel back the layers and explore exactly how Python handles text under the hood.
Here is our quick roadmap for today. Creating Python strings, the art of indexing, slicing strings apart, and powerful string operators.
All right, let's jump into section 1, creating Python strings. In Python, a string isn't just plain text. It's actually an immutable sequence of values representing Unicode code points. So we're talking about everything from the standard alphabet to complex symbols and emojis, specifically in that massive range from U plus 0000 all the way to U plus 10FFF. But honestly, the absolutely crucial word to remember here is immutable. Once you create a string in Python, its internal sequence of characters is totally locked in place. You literally cannot change it. You can totally create a new string based on it, but the original, it's welded shut.
Now, when it comes to actually writing strings into your code, Python is wonderfully flexible. You can use standard single quotes or double quotes. They do the exact same thing. This is super handy if you ever need to put a single quote inside a double quoted string or vice versa without breaking anything. But what if you have a massive block of text? Well, that's where triple quotes save the day. By stacking 3 single or 3 double quotes, your string can seamlessly span across multiple lines, kind of like a here document in other languages. It's an absolute lifesaver for long documentation or big chunks of formatted text.
But wait, it gets better. We can actually alter how Python interprets our quotes just by tossing in a prefix. Basically, if you place a specific letter right before your opening quote, boom, you change the string's behavior completely. An F prefix creates a formatted string. An R prefix gives you a raw string, which means things like backslashes are treated as literal characters instead of escape sequences. That is a total game changer for Windows file paths or complex regular expressions. And then a B prefix creates a bytes object, restricting you to ASCII-only characters. Just one strict rule to remember here, Python absolutely will not tolerate any white space between your prefix and the start of the quote, so keep them tight.
Okay, this beautifully illustrates a really neat trick in Python syntax, adjacent string literal concatenation. When multiple string literals just sit right next to each other, delimited only by whitespace, Python seamlessly merges them into a single string. And it does this entirely at compile time, not runtime. So you can smoothly format really long, messy strings, like a dense regular expression, across multiple lines. You can even drop inline comments next to different parts of the string without having to manually type out the plus operator a dozen times.
Moving right along to section 2, the art of indexing.
To really wrap your head around indexing, try visualizing a string as a sequence of connected train cars, where every single character, yep, even a blank space, gets its own separate car. Indexing is basically how we target those individual cars. And if you take away just one single thing from this entire section, let it be this number, 0. This is a critical, rock-solid rule of Python. Indexing is always 0-based. That means the very first character in your string, your lead train car, is at index 0, not 1.
But here's a dilemma you'll run into all the time. What if you want to target the very last train car? I mean, if you've got a string with 1,000,000 characters, you definitely don't want to calculate the exact length of the whole sequence just to find that final index. So how do we pull from the back?
Well, Python has an incredibly elegant solution for this: negative indexing. By just using an index of -1, you directly snag the very last item in the sequence. -2 gives you the second to last, and so on. Behind the scenes, Python makes this happen simply by taking the total length of your sequence and adding your negative index right to it. It makes counting backward completely effortless.
All right, let's step it up. Section 3, slicing strings apart.
So, picking out single items is great and all, but when you need to extract entire chunks of data at once, slicing is your best friend. It relies on a super powerful 3-part syntax: start, stop, and step. The start parameter is exactly what it sounds like, where your slice begins. It is inclusive and defaults to 0. The step parameter, which some folks call the stride, tells Python how many characters to jump forward. It defaults to 1, but you can tweak it to skip elements or even use a negative step to reverse the whole string. But listen, the absolute most crucial part to remember is the stop parameter. A slice grabs elements up to, but not including, the stop index. It is entirely exclusive. So if you tell it to stop at index 5, you're only getting characters up to index 4. Make sense?
What makes this slicing setup so insanely versatile is that you can just omit these indices. If you leave them out, Python automatically fills them in with those default values we just talked about. So an expression like a/, with just a single colon, basically tells Python, start at the very beginning, stop at the very end, and take every single step. This is an incredibly elegant way to create a shallow copy of your entire string. It's just a fantastic, rapid-fire way to clone your data.
And finally, Section 4, Powerful String Operators.
Time for reconstruction. Python actually includes two highly intuitive mathematical operators that play wonderfully with strings. First up, the plus operator, which handles concatenation. If you take the string spam and literally add the string eggs, your result is spam eggs. It just merges them end to end. Contrast that with the asterisk operator, which handles duplication or repetition. If you multiply the string spam by 3, you get spam, spam, spam. It just duplicates that sequence the exact number of times you tell it to.
But hold on. We really need to tie this back to that core theme from the start of our explainer. Remember, strings are immutable. So when you use the plus operator to concatenate or that multiplication operator to duplicate, you are not modifying the original string in memory. Those original train cars cannot be tampered with. Instead, what these operators do is give birth to an entirely new string object containing your combined results.
Okay, let's wrap this section with some modern magic. Introduced way back in Python 3.6, formatted string literals, or f-strings as we call them, are arguably the single most powerful way to seamlessly inject variables into your text. By simply prefixing your string with an f, you can drop variables and evaluate expressions directly inside curly braces right there within the text itself. So your variables for spam and eggs are instantly evaluated and injected straight into the final output. It completely eliminates the need for messy, clunky concatenations and makes your code beautifully readable.
We've covered a ton of ground today, right? From immutable definitions to zero-based indexing, slicing, and some pretty neat string operators. But I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. Everything we've discussed today fundamentally relies on the fact that a string is a sequence. And you know, Python has other built-in sequence types too, most notably lists and tuples. So how might you use these exact same operations, the zero-based indexing, negative indexing, start, stop, step slicing, or even the plus and multiply operators, on a list of numbers or a tuple of objects? Think about how these foundational text concepts might just apply universally across Python's entire ecosystem.
Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy coding!